I am the greatest, most feared, most nefarious, most ultimate supervillain the world has ever seen. I am Slade!
Slade. Wow, his name is really fun to say dramatically.
Slade.
Slade. Slade.
Slade.
Silence!
Hello and welcome to Comic Book Movie Oblivion, the podcast about feature films based on comic books and comic strips that people have stopped talking about. I am your host Jordan. With me today is Kumar and the Teen Titan himself, Kid Kumar. I mean, Kumar's kid.
What's up?
That's Ashwin Tiberius Siva.
Yes, today we're going to talk about Teen Titans Go.
This was a request from Ashwin. He
From
requested
Ashwin.
that we record about it, and we in turn requested he join us.
Well, he asked to join. So he said, "Are you going to do Teen Titans Go?" He kept asking me, and then he's like, "When are you going to do it?" And I was like, "Yes, it's on the list." And Ashwin's been watching Teen Titans Go
since I was a wee lad.
7 or 8.
Show started
2013.
2013.
Show started 2013. You've been watching it, so at least since 2014 or 15. Because I remember buying merch in 2016 in San Diego Comic-Con. We should do Pause the Podcast.
Oh, okay.
There's a spoiler in this movie, actually. There's a twist.
Yes. I would say pause the podcast. If you have kids and they haven't seen it,
Yeah.
and you haven't seen it, go watch Teen Titans Go to the Movies 2018.
Yeah. Okay, so
Now that you've done that,
Yes.
welcome back.
Yeah. So we were... Okay, so we have a long chain again of
That's right. Much like,
adaptations before we get to Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Speed Race the last week. So where do we start? Do we start at the end of the chain or at the beginning?
We're going to get to Teen Titans... No, we'll go backwards.
Okay.
We'll go backwards.
So we start with Teen Titans Go to the Movies from 2018.
This is a theatrical release.
Theatrical release.
Came out in cinemas.
Yes.
I remember seeing this at cinemas.
Yes, we went to see this at the cinema. Based on the cartoon series Teen Titans Go, which ran from 2013 to present, it's currently up to 386 episodes.
Yeah, but they're about 10 minutes each.
Yes, they're about 10 minutes each.
You've got 2 in 1 20-minute chunk.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And this was spun off from a cartoon called Teen Titans, which ran from 2003 to 2006, 65 episodes. That was based in very cartoony drawing style, not super chibi, super deformed style like Teen Titans Go, but...
Not super realistic either.
Not super realistic, but it did cover the storylines from the 1980 run of comics by Marv, Wolfman, and George Perez. Like, actually followed the storyline.
And the same heroes.
Yeah, so I guess the stories were like serious, and same voice actors even. But different producers and writers and stuff, but they brought all the same voice actors back for this weird spin-off version.
Yeah, so the 2013 version's based specifically on the 2003 Cartoon Network cartoon.
Yes.
Which was not super deformed, but also not super realistic.
Yes.
And the Teen Titans Go, on the other hand, they've got the chibi style, which is kind of like little figures with fat heads and little bodies.
They look like Funko Pops.
Like Funko Pops.
Pre-made Funko Pops. So that was so Teen Titans, the cartoon, was based on the Marv Wolfman comes from 1980, which was
the New Teen Titans.
New Teen Titans it was called, yes. And there was another follow-up series called Tales of the New Teen Titans. I'm confused about those two, so don't ask. But in 1966, we had the first Teen Titans series, which was written by Bob Haney and drawn by Nick Cardy. And that was originated in an issue of Brave and the Bold, where Robin, the Batman sidekick, put together a team with the other sidekicks, including, I think, Kid, Flash, and Aqualad. It was just those three. In that first issue, the premise was that they would get calls from kids, and they would solve kid problems. Like, kids would call up Robin in the Batcave and say, "We've got this kid problem, can you come help?"
So lame.
Yes, it's lame, but I think, actually, DC had a problem with their characters being too old. Like, they were all grown-ups that were doing weird stuff. And I think the idea of introducing the kid sidekicks in the first place was that they felt that the kids could not identify with Batman or Superman.
That's straight from Marv Wolfman himself in the introduction to the new...
Right.
Which I have a quote for it here. He says, the common wisdom was that a young sidekick would appeal more because readers were better able to identify with someone their own age.
Yes.
End quote. But then his very next line is garbage.
Right. Yes, but
we'll get to that.
But I mean, Spider-Man came out in '63 and was blowing DC stuff out of the water, and they had a teenager in it. So DC was like, "How do we catch up in any way to this?" And this was a typical DC lame attempt to catch up with what Marvel was doing, right? To have all these kid sidekicks. So they team up. Bob Haney, we should talk about Bob Haney for a bit. So Bob Haney...
Haney is the author of the immortal line, The Batman Digs
This Day, yes. Which was Grant Morrison's favorite Batman comic, which is a comic, I think an issue of The Brave and Bold, where Batman is just walking around in broad daylight on a summer afternoon, looking at girls in short skirts, and the caption tells us that the Batman digs this day.
Classic.
I think his line is delicious, describing the day and the sunshine and everything like that. In the thought balloon. So the most charitable thing I could say about him was that his writing was unrestrained by himself or the editors. They just let him do anything.
Yeah, this is an interesting comic to read.
So the other Bob Haney thing that I always think of is Saga of the Super Sons, which was a series of backup stories, I think maybe in World's Finest, where Superman's son and Batman's son teamed up and had a bunch of adventures. And you're like, who are Superman's son and Batman's son? Bob Haney's like, well...
They don't exist.
He's like, well, you don't see what Batman and Superman do every day. They could be married and have kids.
It was just irrelevant.
We just haven't heard about it.
Until now.
We just didn't show you. So
crazy.
And they were not treated like imaginary stories, and the editorial was not like, these are imaginary stories, which is what DC usually put in front of any story like that.
Sure.
Okay, so we have 4 heroes in this comic. Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid, Flash, Aqualad. So we read issue 1.
From 1966.
From 1966.
Yes.
Should I go into the Wonder Girl? Should I explain Wonder Girl a little bit? This is actually I think maybe only the first or second appearance of this
Wonder
version
Girl's
of Wonder
interesting.
Girl.
I think, please explain it.
So initially, in Wonder Woman comics, they would have backup features or stories about Wonder Woman as a teen, much like Superman as a teen were the Superboy stories.
Yep.
So we had a bunch of Wonder Girl stories, but then after Seduction of the Innocent by Frederick Wortham, DC decided they needed to do a family-oriented kind of stuff.
Yep.
So they had these imaginary team-ups with Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl, and Wonder Tot.
Wonder Tot.
And but then after a while they stopped doing that, and I don't know if they forgot or what, but suddenly Wonder Girl just started showing up as a separate character, even though she was supposed to be in the past.
Right. Originally she was a young Wonder Woman, and then
there's no
attached
explanation.
to Wonder Woman.
Yeah, now she's like her cousin
and then she
or
wanders
something.
Off. Yeah.
Yes. So now she's this is a very early appearance. She appears in this comic. And I think that's maybe all the lead-in we need to start talking about what actually happens in this first issue.
So, Ashwin, what happens in this comic?
Well, Teen Titans join the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the Peace Corps,
A
Ashwin?
South America... I'm not sure, Jordan. The Titans go to a South American country.
Yeah.
There's a robot conquistador, giant mecha conquistador.
Wait, is the Conquistador... There is a robot, right? But then is a Conquistador There are two things they fight.
It's piloted by a guy or something.
Okay. I thought one was a ghost or something.
They beat the robot guy, and then this man with these animals, these weird half man, half animals.
Oh, those, yep.
They rock up, and then they beat those, and then this evil guy is like, oh, if it weren't for you meddling kids, I would have gotten away with
it's very Scooby-Doo.
3 years before Scooby-Doo. And I was reading the whole issue going, this is going to end like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
This guy's going to appear. It plays out so exactly like Scooby-Doo plot. The teens show up, there's a mystery, and they're like, hey, the guy disappeared, and Robin is like suspicious. Hey, there's some powder or something, and he's like, something's going on, there's that smoke.
Except this is bonkers though, because like Scooby-Doo, it's a trick, but unlike Scooby-Doo, there's also a supernatural element because the man-faced animals are real supernatural animals, real servants of the god of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And there's also super high-tech stuff. So a giant conquistador robot that can fight superheroes, and can be phased through solid rock.
Yes, we'll get to all that. Let's rewind and go through the story a bit.
This guy, who I think is a local landlord,
Yes,
has access
he's trying to scare
this.
people away from the.
Has access to a giant mecha conquistador that can phase through walls.
This is explained in one line. Bob Haney explains in one line, but he doesn't explain how he can control
like
the animals.
mutant animals.
Yeah. No, these are supernatural creatures.
Yeah.
He can summon supernatural creatures like a wizard. He's like Doctor Doom.
He just found this stuff in the pyramid and somehow
and
he's
he's
able
just
to
using it
control them.
to defend his local lands because he's just some scumbag rich landlord, and that's
He
his
doesn't
motivation.
want them to build a dam.
Think about.
I mean, what would
Think
you
about
do if
how
they were
did-
trying to build a dam on your property?
Summon supernatural monsters.
Imagine
and build a
if you
giant
had
robot.
these creatures, or you discovered these creatures,
and this is the use.
and you're like, I'm gonna continue being a landlord and use these things to scare people away.
Yeah. And he has tech that can phase solid objects through rock and take control of bulldozers at a distance, which Robin says is some kind of molecular or atomic gadget.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
That explains
Molecular.
it.
That
What is a
makes
molecular
sense.
gadget? Okay.
Yeah, it's molecular.
Okay, let's
Or
back up.
atomic.
Let's back up to the beginning. So basically, the Teen Titans get a call from Mexico. They're like, "You're needed here by the Peace Corps."
Yeah,
They're not told
what is the Peace Corps? Because I read this and I didn't know what it was.
Okay, so the Peace Corps is a real organization.
Yep.
They must still exist.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
But it's basically volunteers, usually young people, young adults, who've just volunteered to go to developing countries and help them build houses or volunteer. in
kind of
other
like
ways.
secular.
Because
mission,
I didn't realize it was a real thing. I assumed it was DC's equivalent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Peace Corps,
Yeah.
led by Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
You gonna build some motherfucking dams.
No, it's a real thing. So they have to go through the induction. They have to like learn the language, sit through the classes. So I don't know this. I guess it's not a big rush because they can go through the whole induction before they get down there for whatever they're needed for.
This makes more sense, but it was very weird to me, assuming this was some kind of secret society. Like,
Right.
oh,
they do call it-
justice kind
they
of
do
thing.
call it
I was
indoctrination.
wondering why the Teen Titans joining the Peace Corps was in the news, and that the news reached Paradise Island in
Yes.
Atlantis.
So in Paradise Island, this guy
He's chiseling the news on a tablet.
chiseling the news on a tablet, and then we get to Atlantis, and they're reading it in some sort of special underwater newspaper, I guess. So we got to talk about Aqualad's costume because Ashton mentioned this to me as soon as he saw it.
So I was reading this, and like, okay, cool, the costumes are great. You know, Robin's in his short shorts, sure, whatever. Aqualad is really boring.
Yeah.
He's got a nice belt. That's his whole thing.
So, which made me realize these kids Ashton's age don't know about Aquaman.
Yeah.
Or that we used to make fun of Aquaman all the time in like the 70s and 80s and 90s. He was the big joke at DC, and DC was always like rebooting Aquaman, trying to make a cool
Trying to make
version.
him cool. Yeah.
In some way.
But you can't make him cool.
Well,
'cause he's-
I think there's some
unless
decent...
unless Jason Momoa
Unless he's
plays
played
him.
by Jason Momoa.
Now he's cool.
Yeah, that was their ultimate solution, I guess. And did you want to talk about Wonder Tot too? Because you brought this up.
No, that's Aqua Baby.
Oh, Aqua Baby. Sorry, not Wonder Tot.
we already
Okay.
talked about Wonder Tot.
Yeah.
So
When they get the newspaper.
Wonder Woman is on a first name basis with Wonder Girl, right?
Presumably.
Yeah.
They're
Wonder Woman's
relatives, I
name.
think.
Wonder Woman's name. I know a couple of these names. Wonder Woman's name is Diana.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wonder Girl's name is Donna.
Yeah.
But when talking to her mother, Wonder Woman refers to Wonder Girl as Wonder Girl.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman's mother refers to her as Wonder Woman,
Yes.
not by her name.
Yes.
So that's
Just
okay,
belted
whatever.
This out in about 10 minutes.
Aquaman calls his wife by her name, Mera,
Yeah.
but Mera refers to her husband as Aquaman,
Aquaman.
and the infant in her arms
Yes.
as Aqua Baby.
Yes.
Aqua Baby.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, so so now we cut to Mexico. The Titans are training, and the locals are the Peace Corps is building a dam, which is going to submerge this Aztec.
Ruin. Presume it like it's an intact pyramid.
Yeah,
you know,
pyramid. Yeah.
And which is presumably a local archaeological treasure.
They're just going to cover with the dam.
Yeah.
So the locals are making offerings to placate the god. Now, it's very
It
unclear.
might be the god, or it might be El Conquistador.
Right.
Not quite sure.
Mecha Conquistador.
Yeah,
he
and they're
comes
worried.
later.
They're like they're gonna the Peace Corps are like, the Peace Corps they're gonna build a dam. It's gonna flood the valley and cover the temple, and the locals are like, we know that Juan Valdez, which is the name, wasn't that the name of the coffee mascot guy, Juan Valdez?
No,
But if we do not bring offerings for El Conquistador, he will be angry and destroy us all. So, has he appeared before? From that line, it's not clear whether they've had to. He's attacked the
Yeah,
valley.
this was weird, because if you bring offerings to this god,
Yeah.
and then the god shows up.
And he shows up anyway.
No, the god shows up, I assume, to collect his offerings.
Oh.
But it's
But
not
then
the
they
god,
run
though.
away, and they're like, oh no, it's El...
Okay,
no, but they
but
think
that's
it's
not
El
the god,
Conquistador.
that's
Well, let's
the
not call it.
giant
Let's call it. So they're making offerings to El Conquistador so that El Conquistador does not attack. But does that mean he has attacked before? Hasn't attacked?
Then-
It doesn't matter. Then he does come and he
But then
doesn't take the offerings.
When the robot... When Mecha Conquistador shows up, they're like, oh no, it's El Conquistador, everyone run.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you assume he's there to collect his offerings?
Trying to make sense of this story is a bit of a wasted endeavour. But
Okay.
I think at this point, this is Scooby-Doo at this point.
Yeah.
The Mecha Conquistador is showing up and is pretending to be the local deity
Yes.
for its own nefarious
Yes.
purposes.
Yes. But my question is, has he appeared a bunch of times before this,
Let's just...
or is this the first time he's appeared before the
We're
local?
going to assume it's the first time. If this
Okay,
was-
but then why did they call
would
the
Teen
Titans?
Titans?
Yeah.
Okay, Teen Titans parachute in. And they attack this giant robot, and the giant robot shakes his fist at them. Wonder Girl throws her lasso around his hand.
Kid Flash runs on his hat.
Kid Flash runs around in circles on his hat.
Yeah.
Not even like in his
doesn't even
vision,
say
so
what
it's
he's
going to make
trying
him
to-
dizzy.
No.
He's just running around his hat. He's like, what? What's the line? He's like, see how that
He's like,
ruffles his
this should
feathers.
give him something to get confused about.
He's running on top of his hat.
Flash never-
But you'd
yeah.
think the Flash would be like a useful character
It never
compared
is.
to like Aqualad. But even Marv Wolfman in his first issue of Kid Flash, he
Yeah,
just
never
runs
knows-
in
he
circles,
never knows
and he
what to do
doesn't
with him.
explain why he's running in circles. But Aqualad, so the Aqualad thing is, there was another,
It's the
Bob
super-
Haney's last Teen Titans story came out in this thing called Teen Titans Annual, which only came out in 2013, like 5 years after his death. But in that, the Titans, like Kennedy, is abducted by aliens to fight their war for them. And the Titans have to go and rescue him. And Aqualad is the one that runs the teleporter, so he's left behind on Earth.
There's an excuse to leave him
until the
behind,
bad story.
so he can't be
And in
late.
this story, there's always an excuse to have water around, and in this one, it's like when
Yeah, the only thing he does in this story is there's a bulldozer or a steamroller that falls into the river.
yeah, the one that
And
comes
then
alive.
killed
Yeah.
him.
And then Aqualad, he doesn't bring the bulldozer back to the surface. He attaches a hook so Wonder Woman can bring it back
Anyone
to the
could have
surface.
done that. You didn't even need to be Aqua Boy. Although he does... Aqualad's not completely useless because he does utter the greatest line I've
Yeah.
ever read in a comic book.
Is that not Kid Flash?
Oh, I thought that was Aqualad. Is it Kid Flash?
I think it's Kid Flash.
Oh, well, he's completely useless then. And Kid Flash is redeemed then. So it's like you say, the problem with Kid Flash is that he's too puissant. He's too strong. Because he can
Yeah,
move as
right.
fast as thought, he can
Right.
solve all the situations they get into.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that because Kid Flash can vibrate his molecules so as to run through a wall, but
Oh,
he
he
can't outrun a Jaguar.
Yeah. You have to nerf him if you want him to be in your story. And it's
Panel
like
by
that
panel?
in the Marv Wolfman ones too.
Right.
He spends most of his time moping after Raven.
Right.
And not. And when he does run, he doesn't run very far. He just runs sort of a short distance away.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
He jumped into a pool.
I think he could resolve. He can't do too much because he could resolve the story. Pretty easily.
that's true. In fact, a lot of World's Finest issues, which were always team-ups with Superman and Batman, there's always kryptonite at some stage, almost every issue.
Yeah, except the Flash doesn't have kryptonite, so he's just
No.
got to sort of get distracted.
Let's get him run in circles or something.
Or run in
in a
circles.
maze, so he's a little
He
bit
runs
slowed
in the
down.
maze.
By the way, these kids are constantly insulting each other. Like, they call Robin Big Brain.
Oh yeah, I
and
got
he calls-
down a couple of nicknames. We've got Wonder Chick, Twinkle Toes,
Twinkle Toes.
WG, Big Brain.
Yes.
Big Brain. They call Robin Big,
Big
Brain.
Brain.
In
He is the one that figures
1966.
out that Robin is the one that they call him Big Brain for some reason for volunteering for the Peace Corps or something like that, and then also he is the one that figures out what's actually going on with this giant robot thing.
I didn't know big brain as a phrase existed before 2015.
Or even as an insult, right? Big brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the giant robot disappears into...
Yeah, it runs into the wall. There's like a puff of smoke.
Oh, but then it comes out and attacks... After they get attacked by the maximum overdrive vehicle, then it comes out again. So Kid Flash vibrates into the wall, and then it comes out and attacks him again, and then they manage to beat it this time.
They trip it.
But then these crazy-ass creatures show up.
Yeah. Now, Jordan, would you like to read the greatest line in all of comic book history for us?
Yeah. Pretty quiet around here. Yikes! What's that weirdo half jaguar, half man exiting the pyramid?
Yeah. It looks like one of the weirdest panels of all time, too. It's so...
Well,
this creature is weird.
It's a jaguar with the head of a man.
With the head of a man. It's like that dog in Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yes.
It looks creepy as hell.
Yeah. And then we get the other creatures, the
and
hawk.
Kid Flash can't outrun it.
Yeah, that's
And
right. He
they-
can't even outrun a jaguar.
Somehow beat these... Oh, they beat the supernatural creatures by... When the guy finally pops up, the guy he tries to snipe them. Yeah, he tries to snipe them. They end up underwater some stage, so Alkali comes in handy there. And they knock him out, and then he literally says, it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Yes.
It would have worked too. But he doesn't explain how he controlled the creatures that he found.
Or how
he was just hanging out in the pyramid, and he was protecting his land with this molecular
Why does he have molecular
technology?
gadgets? Why does he have a giant 10-story tall robot?
Yeah.
Why can he control supernatural creatures? It's never explained. It's just craziness.
Also, he gets punched in the face, and he's done.
Yeah.
He gets punched he gets decked
Well,
once,
he's just
and then
a
he's
dude,
then he loses.
and she's Wonder Girl, so that's understandable.
Yeah, but he gets punched, and then he gives up. It's not like he tries to run away. He's just you punched me, I'll tell you all my plans.
So yeah, Bananas comic.
What's he gonna do? Swim away, run away? No.
One of the most Bananas single issue comic books I've
crazy.
ever read.
And I actually wished after reading this that we'd put more on the list.
More of these 90s.
Yeah, more of the...
How could it
Bob
possibly
Haney
top this, though?
Yeah.
How could it possibly top it?
Yeah.
This is an interesting question I have.
Okay.
How old are the Titans meant to be?
This is a very good question, actually. I think they are supposed to be...
Because they don't look very old.
No, I'm going to say
14,
I'm going to
15.
say 13, 14, 15 in there.
Right.
And I think they're a bit older in New Teen Titans.
Because I'm
I think
going
they're
to
practically
quote a fully grown man who's talking about Wonder Girl. He calls her a chick that's strong and gorgeous.
Well, she's constantly referred to as gorgeous.
It's a bit sexist, this comic. I think this is very of the 60s.
Yeah.
There's not just the insult Wonder Chick.
Yeah.
She's constantly referred to as gorgeous.
Yeah.
Watch out, gorgeous.
She's strength and beauty, too. She's yeah. Yeah, there's all that kind of stuff.
So there's that attitude, the way they talk about Wonder Girl all the time.
I'm not sure
And
it's
then
that much
there's
better in 1980 when we get to the Marv Wolfman run.
Okay.
Well, we'll get to it.
But then, of course, there's the other thing I mentioned, which is where a very kind of 60s attitude about development, where the locals they want to develop they're talking about how their country needs to become modern, and that means literally drowning the relics of the past.
Yes, but there is a good thing about Prime Directive kind of stuff when they're getting trained at the UN. They're like, you have to follow the local
They didn't
customs.
say that, but then they don't. But then they just completely ignore it.
But the local custom is weird. The locals have decided they're going to flood their
Well, that's
valley.
only some of the locals. But the one we're meant to identify with wants to flood the valley because he's the one who's talking about how my country needs to move out of these superstitions.
Yes, but we don't hear anyone
But there's
saying the
literally
opposite.
other people who want to placate El Conquistador. They just want to keep practicing their local. Anyway, it hardly matters, but it just reminds me. It seems to be an attitude that seems very rooted in kind of like post-war,
Right.
1950s, 1960s attitudes. There's
Right.
a couple of Star Trek TOS episodes that are a bit like that too.
Right.
Anyway, so that occurred to me as well when I was reading this, but it's hardly the most interesting thing about this. Almost.
Yeah.
There's a lot of craziness in this comic.
Okay, so then we had a hiatus from 73 to 76, and then
Before we move on,
Yes.
I'd like to shout out Aqualad's catchphrase, "Suffering sunfish." He says it at least twice.
and Wonder Woman's was Suffering Sappho, I think. So
Suffering Sappho.
It's probably just the
Wow.
It's like the
Alliteration.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so 78, the series was finally canceled for good, but then very shortly after, 1980, we get the relaunch.
Yep. Under the Wolfman himself.
Yes, by Marv Wolfman, who we've brought up a few times, and we're going to bring up a few more. Drawn by George Perez. This is the same team that would go on to draw Crisis on Infinite Earths in 84, 85. And it was edited by Len Wein. And I only mention that because Wein and Wolfman had been at DC. Wein created Swamp Thing with Bernie Wrightson.
Oh, okay.
And Wolfman had written, get the bell ready, we're going to get there in a second.
Okay, yep, okay.
So Len Wein Wolfman had written like House of Secrets or House of Mystery. I think we mentioned this a few weeks ago. Then they went over to Marvel, and then they came back when Jim Shooter came on board at Marvel. They're like, we're out of here.
Yeah.
They came back to DC. Len Wein ended up editing something, and he was the guy that recruited Alan Moore to write something, and he was also the editor on Watchmen.
That's a double ring.
Yeah, double ring. So, okay, so Marv Wolfman comes on board and relaunches the series with 7 characters this time, a bunch of new ones.
Yes.
So who are the new ones in this? Because we've got Robin, and we've got Wonder Girl and Kid Flash, but
Yes.
then there's Starfire,
Starfire's
Cyborg,
new, Cyborg's new, Raven's new,
and Beast Boy.
Beast Boy's an old one.
Beast Boy's an old one. So he was actually a Doom Patrol character. He might have come over to Teen Titans the first time around in a later issue. I'm not sure on that. But now he calls himself Changeling.
Because it's cool and hip with the kids.
Yes, but I think in DC they've switched back and
They
forth
have,
a few
because
times.
Changeling's a dumb name, and they have switched back to Beast
And Changeling doesn't mean a person that changes.
No, it doesn't. It has a
shapeshifter.
different meaning.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's almost as bad as when they renamed Green Lantern Parallax. And it's like, do you even know what that means? It's so dumb name for a villain. Anyway.
Brilliant.
So we kind of got the same stuff. So Kid Flash is run around in circles. So it started with a kind of a 16-pager in DC Comics Presents. Starfire has to carry Robin around
Yes.
when they're flying around. It's very awkward kind of stuff here. Starfire, what are her powers?
Well, she's an alien. She's got laser eyes. She's got laser hands. She flies
Laser
around. She's
eyes
super strong.
and laser hands. At one point, so in this first issue, they're fighting some kind of protoplasm which is taking over this building, which has appeared from another dimension.
Star Labs.
Star Labs. It's always Star Labs.
I
at
noticed
DC.
that.
Yeah, it's always Star Labs at DC, no matter which title it is.
I didn't know Star Labs was a thing. I only know it from the Flash TV show.
Yes, it's like what's Marvel? I guess it's like Shield. It's like at Marvel. There's always one thing that like all the that
It's like Stark
universal.
Industries, I suppose, in Marvel, I suppose.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But she says in one line, she's trying to absorb the energy from this thing, and she says she's trying to absorb it into her own system, and I was like, what?
I think this is early stages. It's a
Yeah.
bit nebulous what her powers are.
But you know what? 10 years later, every X-Men had this nebulous energy powers.
Right.
Absorb energy, give off energy beams or something, yeah.
I don't think... Yeah, actually, that one doesn't show up again. Her powers seem to be orange,
Yes.
be sexy.
Yep.
She's got what TV Tropes calls the most common superpower, which
Right.
is to have a very large chest.
Okay. I would say Cyborg also is wearing a crazy outfit. I don't know why Perez... He's wearing, like, almost nothing. Like, it's just got a few, like... I guess it's a silver...
It's very...
See, no, this is how...
It's very crude.
Here's another question I have. Because how robot is Cyborg? Because
Great
in
question.
Teen Titans Go,
Yeah.
he's a head
He's just
in a robot body.
Yeah.
Because his head detaches and he runs around and he's
Yeah.
got like wires for arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this, it looks like he's a dude wearing a metal suit.
Yes.
He's more dude than robot.
But he does
at
have...
this stage.
Does his arms change sometimes?
He's got stretchy arms, he's got laser arms.
I'm talking about in the comic. Yeah. Like
In this
can he-
comic,
yeah.
yeah.
He can, yeah.
Well, it's never defined precisely.
But you can
how
see
much
skin
you
on his
can-
upper arm, so it must be just his lower arms.
Right.
Well,
and then he's got the one eye covered.
cyborg. I mean, he's part man, part machine.
But I don't think there's much machine in him, is what Ashton is saying.
Yes, there's not like the...
Because
Teen
he's
Titans
like
guy.
he's really running around in like swim trunks, and you can see all his skin like on his legs and arms and stuff.
Yeah.
No,
got-
it seemed to me like he hadn't lost any limbs. It's like his limbs needed the support, is what
Right.
it seemed like to me.
Right. Okay.
Maybe a bit of his innards are robotic, too.
And I would also say that Robin, once he switches to Nightwing later on, because there was some conflict with the Batman group editors, and they were like, we want Robin to have these interactions with Batman. So he gave up the Robin identity
Became Nightwing.
to become Nightwing, and then they made other Robins for the Batman series.
Yeah.
But Nightwing was all about, this is famously, like, it was all the butt shots of, there was a lot of focus on his behind.
Right.
And I
Which
think they
is-
actually play on that in...
You're right.
Teen Titans Go to
That
the
is
Moon
a
Boys.
That makes
recurring
perfect
theme in
sense to
Teen
me.
Titans Go is Robin's tight buns.
Yeah.
Yes.
His spuns in 3D.
Yes. Yes.
In the film. Brilliant. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I think that was a riff on Nightwing's, the constant focus on Nightwing's butt. Maybe more recently than in these days.
Well, one of the
There's
things
also
I read-
there's some creepo stuff that happens later here. Like Wonder Girl ends up engaged to this guy named, what was his name? Was
Terry.
Terry Long. So Terry's always been, he's like the Aquaman, another Aquaman, not type, but we always made fun of Terry. Like
He
this
was
guy
a
seems.
dude. He's a dude. I got nothing out of him.
He's 29.
Yeah.
He's just an ordinary dude.
It's like a
We can assume, maybe we can assume Wonder Girl's more mature than an ordinary girl. I don't know, but
It's a bit creepy.
he never actually did anything wrong. It was just a weird dude
just
with a
older.
weird 70s beard.
Yeah, he's got a beard. He's a
got a
teacher.
beard, he's got a
maybe
red
her
beard.
teacher. Ooh,
Curly
it's not
red
great.
hair.
Anyway, so the first issue we get is this kind of dream that Robin has, where he's approached by this witch-like creature, Raven, or he's leading a team already called Titans, but it doesn't make sense to him. I feel like this is a trope we've seen before, where somebody appears in a time or place
This issue I thought wasn't too bad because there's a hostage situation going on at Star Labs.
Yeah.
And right when Robin shows up there alone, he's just Robin by himself, and then he sort of collapses and wakes up in a place he's never
he
been.
passes out, he wakes up, and they're like, oh yeah, Robin, come here, we've got to deal with this. And he's like, he doesn't know any of these people.
Yeah.
He knows some
But
of them,
they're
but
like,
not
we
all.
are the Titans.
And he goes, what are you talking about? The Titans have been disbanded for a couple of years, or a couple of months, or what have you.
Yeah.
So he knows some of them, like he knows Beast Boy.
He knows
who
Beast
says,
Boy.
what do you mean? What are you calling me Beast Boy? You know I'm changeling now.
Yeah, dude, you know I'm changing now,
He's
right?
just like that. Oh, he's so
Well-
radical.
He's very rad, and Cyborg is very street. Annoyingly street.
Yeah. He's an angry young man.
I actually think they fixed that I think that Teen Titans goes much better because Beast Boy is more street than Cyborg, so it offsets his streetness, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's not the 80s anymore.
And he's supposed to be like the most educated
Yes.
of the group, apparently.
I think Marv Wolfman in the introduction mentioned that he imagined it as a source of tension for the character.
Okay.
But perhaps that doesn't come through, certainly not in the issues
Yeah,
that we read.
he seems like a private school kid.
Right. Oh, so maybe it did come through. Because that's what Wolfman was going for, saying that he's a person who's...
Well, I mean, his dad's
Has-
a doctor, and he's, a successful American football player, at least for a high school team.
He's disappointed his father because he wants to play football when he could have had this promising career in
Right.
science. And then, of course, Cyborg himself has crossed at his dad because his dad has turned him into a cyborg.
and now he can't play football
And he
anymore.
can't play football anymore.
And we don't know
And
why he's been
he'd
turned
rather
to
be dead, I
Cyborg
guess.
yet.
No one ever explains anything in this.
Not yet, yeah. And not even by issue one, but there's no subtext with the Cyborg character. In fact, with Marv Wolfman's writing, which is very purple throughout, it's really kind of overwritten. But there's a line from Cyborg which is, I hate what I've become because it robbed me of the only thing I really wanted. I hate being half a man. And every time he speaks, it's always about how much he hates his dad.
Yeah.
And,
He's got really bad daddy issues, which is weird to me, because his dad saved his life. And, surely, I get that
But
he
we
wants
don't
to-
know if he saved his life.
I get that
yet.
he wants to be a football player, but surely you'd rather be alive.
Well, people aren't reasonable. I don't have a problem with this. I think it's interesting, honestly.
I think it is interesting. I think it's badly presented. I think he's overwritten. I think he's badly written. I think
Well, well, not everyone can be Alan Moore.
No.
I mean,
it's some kind of mother-loving space warp.
I wrote that down too.
He says it's some kind of mother-loving space.
There's some kind of mother-loving space warp.
It's very convenient that Cyborg's dad is the scientist at Star Labs who's always in jeopardy.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about the first issue. So Robin keeps jumping back and forth in time, it seems. It's never explained why it happens. That's okay.
It's got something to do with Raven, because Raven, this mystical witch-type figure...
Right.
She appears and she...
Raven is edgy as hell.
She is edgy.
Well, she's emo as hell, I guess, in this version.
Yes,
of her
very much so.
She's just a spooky, mysterious figure.
Hoodie.
She's got
the cloak. She turns into a raven. She's one with the night.
And she's got some sort of issues.
Well, we don't know much about her. She just appears. She's like a mysterious figure that appears.
She's a witch.
She's like... She teleports people together, and she's like, "You need to do this mission." And she disappears again.
She won't explain anything. That's right. She keeps disappearing. So, right. So, the way we're introduced to the new Teen Titans is Robin keeps leapfrogging around in time. Sometimes he's back in the Star Labs rescuing the hostages. Yeah. Sometimes he's in the future. Is he fighting the protoplasm monster at this stage?
Yep.
Right, fighting the protoplasm monster, who was released into our universe by Cyborg's dad.
Yeah, when he opened a dimensional
And then
portal.
at the end of the issue, both situations are resolved.
Yeah.
Robin finds himself back in the past.
Yeah.
And then he's approached by Raven, who says...
Or Raven is watching him in a dark alley. I don't know if he's approached. But Raven is like, "Oh, yes. What you saw was your future, Robin."
Yes. Yeah. And that's when Raven she essentially rounds up the new Teen Titans for some kind of purpose that isn't made clear.
Yeah.
It's very important that the Teen Titans are reformed with the members that she's chosen.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this leads us to Volume 1, Volume
Issue
2?
1.
Issue 1,
Yeah.
Okay.
So, issue 1, Robin is still having these dreams. So basically, this is where he assembles a team. Although he never mentions that this is just like what happened in my dream.
No, that never comes up.
I mentioned my dream already or something, even though he's remembering those dreams in this issue. So Raven approaches him. He's like, you got to put the team together. We never talked about Beast Boy's powers. I guess because he was in the 66.
He's a green dude that can turn into any animal.
Any animal? I'm
Yes,
not
any
sure.
animal.
I think in the comic it seems he seems to go for monkey. He seems to go for a few animals.
He often turns into something that looks like a cross between a gorilla and a chimp.
Yes.
Sort of like a man-sized, man-proportioned ape.
Yeah, okay.
That seems to be his go-to.
He turns into a mouse at some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can be.
His powers are maybe the most nonsensical.
Well,
I mean,
he's
how
like
could you
Animal
turn
Man.
into animal any?
He's also green.
This is pre-Grant
And he can
Morrison's
speak.
run on Animal Man.
Yes.
His powers are pretty straightforward. He can turn into any
Yes. But what's the mechanism? I think
matter.
it makes
Doesn't
no
matter.
sense. Okay. So now we're putting the actual team together. I think okay, so this is they've been tasked to rescue Starfire, who's this alien princess, who's on board this spaceship.
They need to
It's
rescue
a slave ship.
Yep. They need to rescue / recruit their final member.
Yeah.
And that's all Raven will tell them. So then they have to
Yep.
go to the slave.
Starfire is Coriander.
Coriander. Her dad's Meander, I think.
Meander. Yeah, her dad's Meander and she's
Weird.
Coriander.
I want to give it... I love these... How alien should alien names be? Because they should at least be pronounceable, right? Not like HNYXX, Nix.
HNY. Who's called HNY?
He's the leader of the slave ship.
Right, okay.
The ship is called Krister. It's Q''ST''R, no vowels. And then we got my boy Weezak and Trogar.
Brilliant. So we're spoiled for choice. It's either Coriander or Weezak.
Yeah.
Nothing in between.
So something very important happens in this. There's a lot of fights in this slave ship trying to rescue her. They crash this dude's apartment. So this guy rescues Starfire and brings her back to his apartment. There's some crazy Marv Wolfmanisms happening here. So this guy's broken up with his girlfriend because she thinks he's a philanderer. And these superheroes start showing up in his apartment and like Raven, and he's like, this ex-girlfriend is like, is this another one of your girls? I'm like, very clearly more is going on here than he's he's not sleeping around on you. This is some serious stuff. He's got an alien in his bed.
Is this orange?
And she's
are you
like, is this
sleeping with
another one of your
orange
women?
lady?
with green eyes.
So anyway, very important thing is
very
fight
Marvel
happens in his apartment, and this guy is super angry that they've busted up his place. He's so angry, and Robin's like, "Hey, don't worry, we'll pay it back." And he's associated with Bruce Wayne. He can pay this guy back.
Yeah, does he
I
not know
forgot
who
his
Robin
name.
is?
He's like, "Don't worry, we're gonna pay it back, dude."
If Robin was like, "Oh, dude, sorry I broke your house, but I'll pay you back," I'd be like, "Dude, Robin's gonna give me money."
Yeah, and he's had aliens in here, and this guy's so pissed off that his apartment was trashed, even though he's going to get paid back. Okay, that's an important thing to keep in mind. So I think, is this the one where, okay, so in the end they blow up the starship and kill all the aliens on board. They absolutely kill.
But
however
there's
many
some
crew
some kind of trade things going on that never go anywhere. Like Hennix kills Weezak for some reason. Rest in peace, gone but not forgotten. Hennix also disintegrates a fortress moon while chasing Starfire.
Oh yeah, that's right. Rather than go around the moon,
he disintegrates a fortress
blows
moon,
it up.
which implies that there are resources and people on there.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't care that he gets blown up, because he's a bad dude.
Yes, okay, so then we get to issue 2, which is the introduction of a new character called Deathstroke the Terminator. Slade Wilson. Not Wade Wilson. Wade Wilson is Deadpool.
That's right, he comes later.
Much later. 10, 11 years later.
Yep.
But, according to Rob Liefeld, no connection.
Completely original.
No,
Yeah.
Even though they're
no,
It's not
no
like
connection.
Deathstroke, Deadpool.
No connection between Wade Wilson and Slade Wilson?
Probably
Sure, Rob.
such a hack.
I believe you. Okay, so this guy...
The swords and the guns.
This,
The outfit.
this...
It's even done in the movie. We'll get to that in the movie. They take the absolute piss out of it in the
this organization called Hive, which stands for Hierarchy of International Vengeance and Eliminators, wants
great
to
acronym.
hire Deathstroke
Deathstroke the Terminator.
to kill the Teen Titans.
Yep.
Why?
He's like, I'm not going to do it. You said you have to pay me first. They say we pay on completion. He's like, no, I get paid first. I'm always successful. So.
Hive in this seems to be some kind of secret society of hooded figures.
Yes.
In Teen Titans Go, they're like the equivalent of the Teen Titans but evil.
Yeah.
And they're like the Teen
the-
Titans but they rob banks.
Yeah.
Like you've got Gizmo,
In the-
Jinx, Seymour.
Those are the in this they're called like the what are they? The five? The Fiendish
The
Five?
7.
Or,
Right, okay, I can't remember.
Dr. Light and the other guys. They're a big part of this.
Fearsome...
Fearsome Five.
Yeah.
Sounds right. So Hive are the Fearsome Five in Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in this, they're more like AIM from Marvel.
Right, yes.
So it's just some sort of evil international cabal of scientists.
Yes, but somehow Grant, whose apartment was wrecked, is affiliated with, like, or he has access to them, and he's
Is that why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't pick that up.
No, at the end of the first issue, he's like, I'm gonna get my revenge.
So the guy with the apartment hired Hive.
He didn't hire them. He like volunteered for this thing where they're gonna access 100% of his brain, which is not a thing, by the
No,
way.
that's not a thing.
And he's gonna get revenge because they trashed his apartment, so he subjects himself to this.
Oh my
They
god.
give him the Deathstroke. So Deathstroke is apparently such a badass assassin.
Yeah.
Because he uses 100% of his brain. That old
But
trope.
Grant knew about Deathstroke though. Grant was like, "Oh yeah."
Well, it's revealed
worship
why
Deathstroke.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is revealed why. Spoilers.
So yeah, maybe that's how he knew was connected to Hive. I don't know. But at the end of the first issue, he's like,
Well, yes, I got friends.
"They're the ones I told you about." And somebody in the shadow says, "You want them destroyed, Grant? Very well. The Hive shall see that your wishes become reality."
So Grant's like some sort of entry-level grunt in the Hive organization.
So maybe-
and yet he's
maybe
able to
they-
ask them to kill
Well,
the
I don't know,
Teen
because
Titans
even
for him.
yeah, because now maybe the reason they were trying to hire Deathstroke in the first place was because Grant asked them to,
Right.
because they trashed his apartment, and they were going to repair it.
Well, that's yeah.
Okay, so
That's very
Grant,
Marv Wolfman, isn't it? All conflict is interpersonal conflict in Marv Wolfman stories.
yeah. So Grant tries to, I think he tries and fails to kill the Titans. I'm trying to remember.
He tries to kill
burns
Cyborg.
out.
He rocks up at the lab while Cyborg is arguing with his dad, and he tries to kill Cyborg,
Yes.
and then Cyborg wins, and Deathstroke rocks up,
Yes,
and he's
that's
like,
right.
"Oh, sorry about the kid. I'll get him out of your hat.
Yes, and
Like,
then
please forgive my son."
Yep.
yes, and then Deathstroke comes in and tries to beat the team, but the team beat Deathstroke, or they Raven intervenes and convinces him to leave. I think because Grant is like aged, like something happens to him, and
He's burned out.
He's slowly dying
that's
by
right.
whatever process Hive put on him.
He can't use 100% of his brain, unlike Deathstroke, without...
unlike anyone.
It ages... Yeah. Well, we all use 100% of our brains all the time.
Yeah.
Because his brain has different functions. You know, different areas are responsible for different functions.
Yeah.
So, moving on, for some reason Deathstroke can function with heightened reflexes without aging, but Grant can't. And he uses up all of his body's energy.
And he ages.
Yeah.
And
He ages
seems like he
100
dies
years
of
in a
old
second.
age.
Yeah.
Deathstroke extracts him, but they put an image in his mind that he defeated the
Yeah,
Titans.
so that he dies
Raven does
happy,
it.
I guess.
Yes. And that's kind of and then where it's revealed that Grant is actually the son of Slade.
Slade!
So that's the end of that issue. Now, that's all I read. I think you.
I read them all, because,
I read this next one as well.
Oh, you read issue 2 with Dr. Light?
Oh no, I read Who is Donna?
Okay, we'll get to that
Oh,
one.
that one's great. Well, there's not much more to say. They just have adventures. The secret is eventually revealed as to why Raven recruited the Teen Titans. It's because she needs them to help her stop her father, who is an interdimensional demon.
Yeah.
So that's the same in Teen Titans Go then. He's like the
Yes.
big red dude with the 4 eyes.
Trigon?
That's right, Trigon. It's Trigon the demon. First of all, Trigon is revealed as this like huge threat, extra-dimensional threat. He topples universes.
Okay.
He rules multiple universes, and he's always looking for
And
more.
he has a daughter.
Yeah, Raven is...
Somehow.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit angsty, but he raped Raven's mother.
Right.
Who now lives in a kind of space convent.
Okay.
I think Azeroth,
Okay.
with a bunch of other... And they're total pacifists.
Right.
Raven is always running after them, asking them for help in the latest adventure.
Okay.
And they always say, no.
Yes, that's right.
We never
So
intervene.
there's Marv Wolfman's trying to set up these tripods here,
Yes.
where like Starfire was like super violent.
Yes.
She's like an alien gladiator.
Yes.
Versus the pacifist versus Wonder Girl, who's like from the Amazon island.
Yeah.
Where,
He deliberately... Yeah, you're exactly right. He wants... Because he's big on character interaction.
yeah.
So, as you say, he sets them up with as occupying different points of a triangle.
Right.
The ultra warrior, the ultra pacifist, and Donna in the middle as embodying both warrior and pacifist traditions
Right.
coming from Paradise Island.
Right.
And it's similar with the men,
Right.
with Beast Boy, Robin, and Cyborg. You know, one's
Kid Flash,
angry,
right.
one's jocular, one's stoic.
Right.
So on, and it's all about their interactions.
And Kid Flash is there too.
Kid Flash, yeah, but we don't care about him because he sucks.
Oh, by the way, so Kid Flash is in university at this point, so
Yes.
he doesn't want to come back. So they're aged up from the point that they were in.
Yeah, so they're
They
probably
seem to be
19.
about 18, 19 now.
Marv, yeah.
And they're going to be older by the end of it, because by the time Robin becomes Nightwing, he must be in his
Well, this
early
one thing Marv
20s.
Wolfman says is that he hated when when teenage characters or the kid characters, they were always very, very deferent to authority.
Right.
You know, or is respectful of all elders. He says that was the thing that he didn't dig that at all as a kid reading
Right.
these comics. It drove him mad. He said he wondered if Robin had to ask Batman's permission to go to the Little Heroes room.
Right. Right.
So he set out to write, as he put it, characters that would be real people first and superheroes second. I suppose which is why they're always so emotional and
Yes.
so on, and that they should be completely responsible for themselves.
Okay.
So
That
hence
makes
why they're
sense.
at university age, I suppose. Still teenagers, but not old enough to buy liquor in America, for example.
Right.
Under 21.
So, okay. So one thing we haven't really talked about is the George Perez art, which I think is wonderful. And he's the only guy that could have drawn this book, because there's like 10 panels a page, lots of tiny, tiny characters. You could pack in lots of dialogue. I mean, these issues take a long time to read.
But they're cool.
And, yeah, I think they were, well, I'll tell you the reason. So another one I put on the list for us to read this week was issue 38, which is Who's Donna Troy.
Yeah.
Because that was actually the only issue of these that I'd read before. I'd never read any of the other Marv Wolfman George Perez issues. And I read it in this little digest, which our listeners can't see, but I bought. And this was also where I read the anatomy lesson for the very first time.
Wow.
A little tiny reprint in
So
here.
this is
And it's got,
Anatomy lesson, ding, ding, ding.
this is Year's Best Comic Stories 1984. And this has Who is Donna Troy in it. And I read it, and it was the only other one that really... I was like, whoa, this is really great. Because it had this cinematic opening with like the movie credits, which I'd never seen before. Yeah. I thought it was so amazing. And the mood in it and
it was very much a change in tone from the last ones. This one's like a film noir.
Exactly. And
it's narrated by Robin. He's tortured. His girlfriend left him.
Yes, especially because it's narrated by Robin. The purple prose is not there. So when I went back and I was looking forward to reading issue 1, 2, I was like, oh, this is going to be more of that great writing. No, it's a completely different style of mode of writing because he's putting in those really
and the boy wonder threw a punch.
Yes.
Like that.
It's very, that's what I think of as kind of comic book style.
Yeah, whereas in this, like, there's not I don't think there's a single caption in it that's not narrated by Robin.
So it's the story, and it's the film noir comparison is opposite, because Robin is being a detective.
Yes.
He's taking a leaf out of Batman's book.
I don't think she calls him Robin at any point. He dresses up as Woman at once.
Yeah.
As Robin. Yeah.
That's true too, yeah. He's hardly ever in his costume.
There's an interrogation scene in this.
Yes.
Yeah. That's when he's in costume, isn't it? Where he threatens the guy with, you don't want to get on my bad side because I know Batman.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have anything to add about this, but I did. This is the one that I read before and one that I really enjoyed.
I'm glad you recommended it because it's a cracking read.
Yes, there is some stuff in here that doesn't make any sense. Like at one point they find out who had adopted Donna Troy because we've never known. She was rescued from a burning building by Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And then raised on the island and given powers. This is the first time I think that it's explained how she got powers.
Sure.
For being adopted, but. She's never been able to find who her human adoptive parents were.
Yeah.
And Robin finally tracks them down, and they're driving around the neighborhood, and she's like, I remember, this neighborhood looks familiar. Now, she's like less than a year old, and she's like, this seems familiar. And then they come around the corner, and her adoptive mother is still living in the house that she lived
on the lawn.
It's not that long ago.
With her... Well, it's got to be
she's old enough to be engaged.
Right? She was
Terry.
a toddler.
Yeah, but that woman's husband died. So how is she still living that same house? It just seemed weird that she's still living. Yeah, because now she's got a new husband, and then two kids with the new husband, and she reveals, I didn't tell you about my previous that I had a daughter. We had a adopted daughter with my previous husband, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, it seems odd that she would. In 1980, so let's say 1965, she would be the owner of the house, and that her new husband would move into that house. I don't know, there's some stuff about... just that...
It didn't ruin it for me. It felt very organic.
Okay.
They keep finding clues.
It was convenient she was on the lawn while they were driving past, but it was good.
I think I can suspend disbelief.
And the woman recognizes her. I don't know if I'd recognize Ashwin if I didn't see him for 15 years from the time he was like 8 months old.
It's such a great yeah, of course.
Of course, it's all good. Yeah. And I never noticed any of the stuff on previous reads. It was only this time around I was like, wait a second.
You wonder, but I just figured there's a little bit of magic going on, a little bit of comic magic.
Yes.
But it all felt very reasonable. One point led to the next. They'd find a clue, or they'd find an object like the doll.
Yeah.
They found the doll in the coal chute where it had apparently been for 20 years.
Yeah, so then he uses some kind of magic powder to make the
that reminded me of those Batman comics we read.
Yes, yeah.
So there you go. It's
Robin's thing, yes. Yeah. He makes magic chemicals that can do whatever you need.
That can reveal ink that dried up 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
And that shakes a few memories loose, and then they go driving around, and she says, I remember, and and then the mother remembers her too, because she's never stopped thinking about it.
The Nan.
And that's it, they don't fight any...
The orphanage owner, who hasn't spoken a full sentence in 10 years, starts babbling about Donna.
Yeah.
Well, coherently. It's not even babbling.
Yeah, that's, again,
like
people with dementia have good days and bad days, and sometimes a familiar figure or a song can bring forth dislodge memories or bring forth a torrent of recollection. To me, it all just felt very... It felt real. It felt organic. It felt natural.
Sure.
It felt like a good, solid kind of mystery that was being solved in front of my eyes. And of course, there's no wacky shenanigans.
No.
No one fights anybody. Dr. Light doesn't show up. There aren't any Incan gods.
No.
Or
Yeah,
giant
no.
conquistadors.
And they're often- there's-
No weirdo
often there's
half
a-
jaguar, half men.
Often there's a temptation in this type of story, in a comic, to bring in a villain in the last couple of pages to have that fight.
Never does.
It never
It's a
does.
very mundane, very quotidian kind of reason for her being abandoned, which it was an abortion racket. She'd been
It was a slavery, or they were selling these kids.
selling babies. Like, well, that happens in adoption.
Yeah.
So did I say adoption or did I say abortion?
You said abortion.
I meant adoption. Apologies. It's an adoption racket.
Yeah.
Selling babies to parents to avoid the lengthy procedure
Yeah.
of adoption, which is a real thing.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all there is. There's no nefarious villain. The Floronic Man wasn't responsible for it.
No.
It's it makes me very happy. It's more mundane than I would expect from Wonder Girl.
It feels mature. It feels grown up.
Feels like, oh yeah, this could happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Okay, so let's get to Teen
Let's get to
Titans
things that
Go
are
to the
not mature.
Yes.
Rubber chickens.
Let's get to Teen Titans Go to the
Waffles.
Movies.
Yes. So we open with the opening credits. We get the DC kind of logo, but it's all chibi style characters. And then we get the Marvel page flips. We actually get pages from the Wolfman Perez flipping just like you would in a Marvel movie, but then we see it's the seagull flipping the comics. Somebody was flipping them?
Yep, it's the seagull outside the Titans Tower.
Yeah.
That you see at the start of every Teen Titans episode. The art's more detailed than in the show.
Yeah.
I noticed, but that's the
More
only
production,
change.
high production values, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at the start of every comic, there's either a seagull or a crab, like, hanging out there.
At the
Right.
front of the
That's the first shot of every
Tower.
episode.
I just wanted to mention, as a little bit of trivia, the Robin costume that he wears in Teen Titans Go is the Tim Drake Robin outfit. It's not the Dick Grayson, because the Dick Grayson
Well,
was the
Robin
one-
is Dick Grayson.
He is Dick Grayson, but Dick Grayson wears what we saw in 66 and in this, which is he wears the trunks with like exposed legs and but the Tim Drake, which is the third Robin, has this more like I don't know if it's like armor, but it's got like more buckles and stuff. It's actually got pants and stuff. So he's got the more updated outfit. I just wanted to point that out for no reason whatsoever.
That's okay. There's lots of things that happen for no reason whatsoever in this
So
film.
Beast Boy talks very straight in this. Starfire's thing is she uses the. Now, in the Marv Wolfman comics, she kisses Robin, I think, and then absorbs language so she can speak
And
normally
Beast
after
Boy's
that.
like, yo, I know French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beast Boy's very silly. But, yes, that's it.
So
she
here
can
she
absorb
just
language
says, she
through
uses
touch.
the in the wrong place all the time. Is her.
This was from the 2003
Yeah, this is to emphasize her
cartoon. She would talk like that in the 2003 cartoon.
Oh,
as
right,
well.
okay.
Yeah.
broken alien
And she would
English.
often insert strange nouns.
Yeah.
Like, here, Robin, come in. It's time to have the dinner. We're having grabnors. Something
Right.
that would be.
Right, okay. So also there's eventually in the comics there was a Starfire Robin relationship. As far as I know, that's never happened in the cartoon.
Robin is obsessed with Starfire.
It's hinted at.
Okay.
There's a lot of Easter eggs, I suppose you'd call them.
Okay.
A lot. So they're always hinting at things from both the 2003 series and every now and again stuff from all kinds of media.
Yeah, Robin is obsessed with Starfire. Beast Boy is obsessed with Raven.
Yeah.
Raven likes him back. But occasionally Beast Boy is dating Terra,
Yes.
the villain.
Okay.
Yes. So-
Cyborg is on and off dating Jinx from Hive.
Right. I know that the Beast Boy Terror thing was in the 2003 cartoon. I don't know about the others.
So how much of that have you seen? Or is this just what you read
just
about?
a few episodes.
Okay.
Oh, and I have read about it too.
Okay. Okay, so this is a... So, So, I don't even know how to start with this movie. So we start with this attack by a balloon creature.
Yeah, and-
voiced by Greg Davies.
I thought it was James Corden.
No, it's definitely Greg Davies.
Oh.
I think. Unless James Corden was someone else in it.
No problem.
Okay. And basically the Titans appear, but their method of fighting him, they go through all stuff. There's some fart jokes.
Very long fart joke.
It's funny actually because how long it goes on because it goes on that long. I think eventually they tried to sing and dance him into oblivion.
Teen
Who he
Titans,
is.
the Titans, the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Teen Titans, the Titans.
So finally, the actual Justice League shows up, and they berate the Titans for being so ridiculous all the time. They continue to be ridiculous.
Cyborg throws a rubber chicken in his face.
Yeah, it's the best gag in the movie, I think, is the rubber chicken gag, because he's like, got him.
Got him.
They're just oblivious to their own ridiculousness.
Yes.
Then somehow they find out about this superhero movie that's premiering.
Oh yeah, because they're
The
like,
Justice League have to leave.
because Robin's like, yo, wanna hang? And then they're like, no, we have to go to Batman's movie premiere.
Right.
No, Superman, he has an awfully familiar voice.
Yes, Nick Cage as Superman. Apparently he's also in Flash as Superman. I keep hearing there's all these cameos
There's a
in
cameo
Flash.
at the end, I think.
This is, of course, a brilliant Easter egg because
Yeah, it really.
of...
At the time, it really was, because he was supposed to be in that Superman movie directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah,
which
Superman Lives. I think it
Thankfully,
was gonna
didn't
be
get
called.
made. Probably.
I would love to see Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Well, you can see there's images of him because
Yeah.
he did the costume test and stuff, and there's a whole documentary about it.
Yeah, which we may
cover that.
may
at
one
some
day cover
stage,
as a cheat episode.
So, what were we, oh yeah, so they hear about the movie. Nicolas Cage, yes. And so they decide they're gonna go crash a premiere,
Yeah.
and they go.
There's another Easter egg here. Wonder Woman, I think, is wearing a dress.
Yeah.
It's a red dress, and she says,
It's not Wonder Woman, I don't think.
It's
It's
another
someone
character.
blonde.
It's Supergirl.
Yeah.
It's Supergirl. You're right. It says, Supergirl, who are you wearing? And she says, Plastic Man.
Yes.
John.
And Plastic Man is dressed... Now, you've probably seen this.
There was a comic where this happened. Yeah.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
Really?
Justice League of America issue 33.
Was that before this?
Well before. Came out
Okay.
1997.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's Big Barda
oh, right. Okay.
attending, I think, a wedding.
Yeah.
And she's put on the dress. They go, hey, where'd you get that? And she says, what do you mean, where'd I get that? It was laid out in my hotel room. I figured you guys did it.
Yeah.
And then everyone twigs.
Yeah, it's
And she starts strangling Plastic Man. And they're like, hold her back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not the last Easter egg, we'll see.
No, and there's a pre-Easter egg here. So they go into this movie, and it starts with all these trailers for other movies that are coming out. And it's directed by Jade Wilson.
Which should have been an immediate giveaway.
Well, not everyone knows that Slade
That's right.
Wilson.
So Jade is the biggest director of superhero movies in the world. Yeah. ever.
Direct every superhero movie,
And
multiple at a time.
we get trailers for a movie about Batmobile.
Yep.
A movie about the utility belt.
movie about Alfred.
Now this is the pre-spoiler, because a year after this we got a 3-season series called Pennyworth about Alfred, a TV series, live-action TV series about the butler.
Satire.
This was supposed to be a joke.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a joke in this movie.
Yeah.
And maybe that show's even still going.
This history repeats itself first as farce, then as tragedy.
Yes. Yes. So Robin becomes depressed by this because there's no Robin movie. He's like, I don't want
that's
a
right.
movie.
Yeah, rightfully so. They made the car and the utility belt
Yes.
before him. Like, he goes up, he's like, the trailer's like, oh yeah, the story of Batman's best friend, and Robin goes up on stage and he's like, thank you for making a movie about me. And then it's like, utility belt, the movie.
Yeah.
And Adam's like, he thought the movie was gonna be about him.
Yes. The Atom, by the way, was Patton Oswalt.
Oh, brilliant.
And
know
I
that.
tried to make a list of all of Patton Oswalt's comic connections. He's got like 400 credits on IMDb. And I could barely... The list was so long, but here's briefly live action. He's in the Sandman series. He's in The Boys, Blade Trinity.
Yep.
But as for cartoon voices, MODOK, Big Hero 6. Oh, he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well, the TV series. Spider-Man cartoon, Justice League cartoon, Axe Cop, Amazing Screw-On Head, Static Shock, Batman Beyond.
But of course, I know him best from the Star Wars Marvel crossover rant in Parks and Rec.
Yes. Yes.
Excellent.
And, okay, so they see this movie.
The trailers all use the Batman 1989 font, which is
Yes,
a nice touch.
I noticed that, yeah. And there's a lot of, you don't get to see the hero, like, there's this movie theater's full of superheroes, and there's a lot of, it was easier to see stuff seeing this on the big screen. I noticed a lot of little in-jokes and stuff on the side, like billboards and stuff.
Yes. The billboards.
It went by a bit fast. Like, there's one called, there was a business called
Lazarus.
Raw Shark? Raw Shark?
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
gotta just ring this bell.
Well, even when they're in the movie, when they're in the lobby, there's a movie poster for Night Owl.
Yes, there is.
And there's Dr. Manhattan one of some sort where he's like a bunny or something.
Well, I missed the Dr. Manhattan one, but there's There's Batman v Superman, Yawn of Justice.
Yes. Yeah.
And Aquamanatee was another
Well,
one.
Jade Wilson is making Batman v Superman 2. Which
Yes.
I didn't think they would be allowed to shit on that movie that
It's
hard.
funny you say that. That comes later, but yeah, you're right. The executives did not like that. Not like that bit.
Right.
They did not like the Martha jokes. This is This film was produced by Warner Brothers, which also produced Dawn of Justice. And that bit where they made fun of the...
He's like, what's your mother's name?
Wait, what's your father's name? And then they start fighting again?
Yeah.
Yeah, that... They had to fight hard to get that in, and it was only kept in at the last minute because it got one of the biggest laughs at the test screening.
Ah, okay. There you go.
Probably right behind the rubber chicken joke.
So at some stage here, they get an alert that their home base, Teen Titans Tower, is being attacked by.
I don't think it's Titan's Tower. I think it's just
Oh,
somewhere.
somewhere.
Star
in
Labs.
Star Labs.
That's
Star
right,
Labs.
it's Star Labs, of course.
Star Labs is being attacked by Slade. So they've decided in the lobby of the theater that they need an arch nemesis.
And not just any arch nemesis,
in order to
but
get
one
a
with a
movie made.
cool name that
Yes.
sounds really cool when you say it.
Yes.
Hence,
Like,
Slade.
Not called Deathstroke, I guess.
No,
'cause
he's
it's
always
his
called
show.
Slade.
in
this.
2003, here's another bit of trivia for you. In 2003 cartoon, he was always called Slade because Deathstroke was
It's too full on for
too
little
full
kids,
on.
I
Yeah.
guess. Okay.
Yeah, Deathstroke the Terminator is a bit much.
avoid the dreaded death word.
Yes.
So hence, and that's why he's called Slade in this as well.
Right.
Voiced by Will Arnett.
Right, yes. Who also voiced Batman in the Lego Batman movies.
That's right.
Yeah.
And not Ron Perlman, who voiced him in the cartoon from 2003 and was really great.
Right. Okay.
And so that was a little disappointing that it wasn't Ron Perlman, but I mean, Will Arnett is a pretty
Well, I think it's the exact same cast as Teen Titans Go, so I reckon they probably couldn't get Ron Perlman back for Teen Titans Go, so they couldn't use him in the movie.
He never actually... I don't think he actually shows up in Teen Titans Go, does he?
He does.
Does he? Okay.
In an episode or two.
Okay, cool.
But it would have been after this.
Yeah.
No, I think it was before.
Because he's introduced... This is the first time they meet Slade.
Slade!
I swear they met him before.
Okay.
Weird, okay.
They don't really... He was their nemesis in the 2003 cartoon, and he was voiced by Ron Perlman excellently, which was Ron Perlman's, I think, his first major voice acting role.
Okay.
And now, of course, he's a staple of voice acting in all
Right.
kinds of cartoons and animes.
Okay.
But that was his that was his big break in voice acting, apparently.
Okay, so they fight him. He's stolen this crystal. He manages to get away.
The Ditronium crystal.
Yes. And they don't know what it's for.
We should talk about his mind manipulation.
Okay. Yes. Well, it's hard to talk about this movie because it's all gags.
Yeah.
It's like wall-to-wall gags. And
Yeah.
we can talk about the mind manipulation, which is like a segment. It's like a couple of minutes of the movie. But it's all these goofball tricks like making a pencil look like it's rubber or removing his thumb.
Yeah.
Uncle tricks. The tricks your uncle does.
he does the major look thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they all look. And they're trying hard not to
Yeah.
look. It's very funny.
Yeah.
But then he gets away, I suppose.
Yes.
But
Gets away.
No, he doesn't get away. They catch him, don't they? And they get the crystal, and
No,
Raven...
that's later.
Raven
That's
teleports...
later. They fight him again later on.
Isn't it direct right after? When he's
He
escaping?
blows he escapes at the... Okay.
Isn't it when he's flying? It hardly matters. They get the crystal off him and lock it in their super secure vault in the tower.
Yes.
Then he escapes. Yeah. And then it's on with the A plot, I
No,
suppose.
I
which is,
don't think so. Because
Is it important though? Sorry.
No, because what happens is they fight him, and then they go to Jade, and they're like, "Oh, will you please make a movie about us?" And she's like, "No." And then they fight Slade again, and then they beat Slade, and then
When
that's
he's robbing
why
another place.
That's why he's robbing another place, and then
He's getting more
they get the
pieces for
crystal
his
back,
device.
and then
You're right.
and then they beat him, and he's like, "Oh, I can take out the Titans. I know how to do it." And he gets the photo of the Titans, and he shoots one side and leaves Robin.
You're right.
And that's why Robin gets a movie made about it.
You are absolutely right, because that's when... Yes. That's where Jade is actually Slade. And she's going to split Robin away from the Titans. Divide and conquer. by having him make a movie just about himself.
Yes. Now, in another movie, this would be the whole second act would be him being split apart from the rest of his crew until
It's
he
about 10
reunites.
minutes.
No, it's less than that. It's like one montage of them making the movie.
I don't know. We have jumped ahead a little bit
Okay.
to resolve that particular problem. We've omitted the time travel segment.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this
This is the first solution is to get a movie made.
So
yeah.
they, after the premiere, they go to Jade, and Robin's like, "Oh, please make a movie about me." And then Jade says, "No, the only way I'd consider it is if you were the only superheroes." So then Robin's like, "Hey, let's go back in time and stop all the superheroes from becoming superheroes." And I believe he says, "Oh yeah, every superhero starts with a tragedy, but it clearly doesn't, because the only tragedy is Superman and Batman. They steal Wonder Woman's lasso and they try and kill Aquaman."
They kill him successfully. They strangle him with a six-pack, with a ring pack from a six-pack of beer.
Yes.
So
The turtles, the Ninja Turtles, they just turn them around so they go back.
Ninja Turtles aren't DC, are they?
No, definitely not. It's a little in-game.
Anyway, so the way they travel in time is they've got these radness bikes, and they need to power them up by riding their trikes, and they need to be rad to power them up. Take On Me plays.
Also, we get the theme from Back to the Future is in there.
Bum, 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 bum. They go back in time, as you said.
And they're on big wheels. The trikes are those toy. They were called big wheels. Yeah.
But I, if you'll allow me.
But it's real. I just want to say that this is like the plot. I mean, they've got time travel machines. This could solve anything. But they're just like, okay, we're going to use them for this one thing.
Well, it doesn't
solve it.
It doesn't solve anything, of course, because after they go back in time...
And I think they even say that. Yeah,
this is... Yeah, that's right, they do say that. It doesn't solve anything, because after they've got rid of all the heroes, they come back to the present, and the present is a nightmarish wasteland.
Yeah.
Everything's in flames.
Should we talk about how they save the superheroes? How they
get rid of them.
Yeah, how they get rid of them.
Please.
So Superman, they rock up on Krypton, and Superman's dad, Jor-El.
He's voiced with a Marlon Brando voice. Did you?
Yeah, with some voice actor. I did look it up. It's not actually.
No, of course
it's made to look like Brando.
He's dead.
No, of course.
But the voice is like, I can't do the crystals.
Yeah.
Can't do a Marlon Brando voice.
He hasn't done all the right. He's tried all the tones, and Krypton's gonna die. So they're gonna put a baby in a spaceship and fly him off. And they shame him for it, and then they play Geometry Dash music, and that saves Krypton.
Oh, it's Geometry Dash music.
And then they go back, and then, so for Wonder Woman, they steal her lasso and play with it in front of her and make her sad, and that stops her becoming Wonder Woman.
Yep.
Aquaman, they drop one of the ring things from a six-pack of beer on him.
And he dies.
He dies.
No, we don't see it. It cuts away. But
And
Bruce Wayne, they just direct his parents away from the alley. By the way, young Bruce Wayne...
Oh, hang on. I'm about to say the greatest sentence that has ever been uttered on any podcast ever. Kal-El Cage plays young Bruce Wayne.
I was about to say that, yes.
I know you were.
Yeah. But then they come back and the world is like, it's just like Back to the Future 2, like the world is garbage.
The Ninja Turtles, they just flip them around.
Turn them away from the ooze and they walk back into the sewer.
So they... basically, they have to go back in time and just undo everything that they did.
This is crazy, because they basically just smash the crystals on Krypton. They kill everyone on Krypton. They give Wonder Woman back her lasso. They save Aquaman.
Yeah. They pull the rings off him, and they put the pearl necklace on Martha.
They put the pearl necklace on Martha and push her into Crime Alley. And Robin does a thumbs up. Like, this is your dad. You're watching your grandparents die.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's very funny. Very funny.
Well, Robin's not Bruce Wayne's son.
Adopted.
Yes, adopted. Yes, so adopted ward or whatever he is, yes. Although it's still, they didn't kill as many people as that spaceship that they blew up in that first issue of Marv Wolfman. I'm sure that ship would have had a crew of hundreds that are all dead. Okay, so then that fails. So so then they end up Robin ends up making the movie and the team splits up, but then he realizes he needs a team back together. And
he's
she
tricked
well-
by Jade Wilson into unlocking the vault.
Yes.
Yeah,
in the
so
tower.
they've got the set of the vault, and then he gets knocked out by a falling light, which was staged, and then he wakes up and he's actually in Titan's tower, but he still thinks it's a set because he's a dumbass.
Yep.
And she's like, no, you have to make it real, because he's putting in all a bunch of fake codes and they don't work. So he puts in the real code, they go into the vault, and he's like, geez, these sets are great. And then Jade pushes him against the wall, and these cuffs automatically go on him.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's a feature.
Yeah, I wonder that too.
Why
There
are
are
you
cuffs
wondering that in this
sideways on the
movie?
wall. And then he's like, you that doomsday device was actually real. We should talk about the poop scene in
We
the
haven't
show.
mentioned the Doomsday device, which is she's built this giant thing which is labeled Doomsday device, but it's actually a movie distribution thing. It's a long acronym. Digital only, online movies, something.
Streaming directly at you.
Directly at you. Yeah, that's it.
So this thing is. By the way, I want to say that her plan is to make it superhero movies nonstop all over the world all the time. And I felt in 2018 this is like prophetic, almost like not prophetic. It's a real commentary.
This is satire.
And even that line, before the Alpha movie, that's like it doesn't matter how obscure you are. She says we'll make a movie about you.
This
and
is
I'm like,
in 2018. We are well into the Marvel.
Yeah.
But this is satire.
Yeah.
You're taking the piss out of the fact that that cinema is 90% superhero movies at this point.
Yeah. So he discovers after she gets the crystal, he figures out that it's actually she's going to use it to, or he, because it's revealed that it's Slade is going to use the device to mind control the whole world.
Yeah.
Because everybody will be watching.
With his mind manipulation.
Mind manipulation.
So somehow they destroy the tower, the Doomsday device. I'm trying to remember the sequence of events.
So all the superheroes get mind controlled.
Yes.
Because they're watching the premiere of the Robin movie.
And Batman just keeps coming.
And Batman is...
They blow up his...
There is no stopping the Batman.
There's no stopping the Batman!
Yeah.
They blow up his Batmobile, he's on a scooter. They blow up his scooter, he's on roller skates. They blow up his roller skates, he's on Alfred.
Yes.
And then Starfire says, there is no the stopping the Batman!
Yes. So finally they destroy the Doomsday device, but then he emerges with his plan B, which is a giant robot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's a plan B, if his plan was to rule the world with mind control, but anyway.
Stop it, Kumar!
It's
I'm
a
just
giant
saying...
Slade robot. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not
Anyway,
saying any of these things matter.
They're losing, and then they beat him with the Teen Titans song they sung at the start.
Yes.
And then, because they sing the
embrace
song...
their goofiness,
Yeah.
and that enables them to defeat him.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And is that the way it ends?
Pretty much.
Yep.
Yep.
And then all the superheroes are clapping, and they want it to be the end credits already.
And Robin keeps trying to talk over the end
Yes.
credits, and he says, ask your parents how babies are made.
Yes.
And then roll credits, and then we have an after-credit sequence.
Of the challenges.
We get the challengers who are still... Challenger of the Unknown
Oh, yes,
are still...
there's one
You need
before
to tell
that.
me what the hell the challenges of the unknown
Well,
are.
Challengers of the Unknown were just they were literally that. They were a team that investigated weird happenings. And they were basically all wearing the same kind of suits. But I think the Fantastic Four was kind of taken from the idea of...
Brilliant.
Marvel took some idea... They based one of their series on Challengers. I can't remember which one.
Okay, so another Easter egg, another in-joke.
No, but I think the post-credit scene you're thinking of is the 2003...
That is the one I was thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to...
Well, I mean, it's very traditional Marvel movie, DC movie mid-credits sequence.
Yeah.
Where the credits cut out, we have some static, some interference.
You've got those ones that like look really nice and everything's like moving around, then you've just got the black scroll. It's in between those.
Yes. And it's the 2003 Teen Titans.
Yeah. Like, we think we found a way back.
Yeah!
They did do a direct-to-video movie in 2019 of
So
Teen
they
Titans
did.
versus Teen Titans Go.
Really?
Yes, they did. It's called Teen
discovered
Titans versus Teen Titans, I think. Or Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go.
I think,
right.
yeah.
And, apparently I think the voice actor for Raven tweeted that if this film, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, had done really well, they were going to reboot that original cartoon, but we'll talk about that. Didn't do as well as they'd hoped. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Oh, Stan Lee was in this. I think we.
Yes, there's a Stan Lee cameo in this DC movie.
Anything? I think that's probably about it.
Are we missing some of the gags?
We missed lots of gags. You can't cover all the gags.
This film is all gags.
It's wall gags.
Some of the big ones. We talked about how he got mistaken for Deadpool. Look at the camera and say something inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They make a big bit out of how, Slade looks exactly like Deadpool, and they keep referring to him as Deadpool. You've got the swords, you've got the guns.
Yeah.
I'm not Deadpool.
The reason Jade kicks the Titans out, or Jade's excuse, is that they all poop in the prop toilet.
Oh, that was great. That was a really great sequence.
That was like 5-minute long sequence about...
All the sequences are long. Like, these are... The gags are... Well, like, the mind manipulation stuff just goes...
Also, the bit with the shenanigans.
Oh, that was funny.
Yes.
And then they just throw kryptonite at... spray kryptonite on Nick Cage, Superman.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's, No, Cyborg calls up Superman. He's like,
it's Lois Lane!
You have to save me from Gene Hackman's real estate stream!
That's right, it's freaking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, as you say, Jade Wilson says... Your friends can stay on the lot as long as they don't get up to any more shenanigans.
And they're like, anybody up for some shenanigans?
And then they just spend the next 10 minutes playing pranks.
Yeah.
So good. So funny.
This movie's only 84 minutes long, by the way, I should mention as well.
Fantastic.
It's great.
Especially after Speed Racer last week. My goodness.
Yeah.
Alright, trivia time.
Okay.
We've already covered Nicolas Cage. He almost didn't happen.
Oh.
Apparently, again, interference from the... execs from Warner Brothers, they apparently wanted Jason Bateman to play... why? I don't know. Because he's friends with Will Arnett. Luckily that fell through.
I see. Okay.
For whatever reason. But the directors had always wanted Nicolas Cage, I guess because they're fans.
Yes.
And they swooped in with the name. Nicolas Cage agreed, obviously, with the condition that his son get a speaking role. Which he got, of course, as young Bruce Wayne, as we've already mentioned.
Right.
There's a song... early on, the awesome song, the song about feeling
Michael
awesome.
Bolton song, yeah.
It's Michael Bolton. Michael Bolton is the white tiger.
Yes.
Who's playing the guitar in that sequence. They run him...
Upbeat.
That's it.
It's an upbeat, inspirational song about life.
They run him over.
And then they run him over with a car. And
Cyborg says...
I think his dad is a cop. Run!
Michael Bolton's dad really was a cop.
Really?
Okay.
Wow, okay.
That's exactly right. All right, this is only the second theatrical film based on a Cartoon Network series.
Okay.
The only other one...
The other was the Powerpuff Girls.
Spot on.
All right.
Came out in 2002.
Okay.
All right.
I was going to say TMNT, but that's Nickelodeon.
Right. $10 million budget this film cost.
Okay.
So cheap for a feature film.
Yeah.
It's all animated.
Exactly. And they produced it alongside producing the show. Mm-hmm. So they were very busy for about a year and a half.
Right.
The box office take $52.1 million. That's both domestic and international, so definitely a success.
Okay.
But apparently the Warner Brothers execs had unreasonable expectations.
Right.
They were thinking 250 or 300 million or something stupid.
Based on
kids'
what?
movie.
Yeah, based on what? Exactly. So that's why we've only got direct-to-video sequels, I suppose, and why we didn't get our revival of the 2003 Teen Titans.
Right.
Okay. Shall we move on to our questions?
You mean the ratings?
Yeah, ratings, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, as I said, I kind of wished I'd read more of the Bob Haney comics. So they're a yay on those.
I think one was enough for me, because I can't imagine reading a better one than that.
Yeah.
It was lunacy.
I guess you would be expert on the Marv Wolfman stuff now, because you've read more of it than I have. But I'm kind of like, maybe I could read it once a month. Like, I could read an issue a month at a normal pace. But I don't know if I could sit down and read, like, a lot, because...
The, 0, 1, 2, for me, they were fine. They were just comics. They didn't strike me as anything amazingly special. Who Has Donna Troy was great.
Yeah.
I will say that it was kind of an important series at DC, because DC wasn't really that much about continuity or making new characters or villains at that point in time, and these were like... Those characters are still around. Cyborg's still running around in various forms.
And this was
and
in
the villain,
Justice League now.
Deathstroke has become a Batman villain, pretty much.
Right.
So
And this was the biggest selling DC comic of the 80s.
absolutely,
apparently.
I believe it. And also,
X-Men,
it was set in New York, which is very unusual at DC. It was always a made-up city like Gotham, Metropolis, Central City,
Well,
something
it's
like that.
it's even Jump City in Teen Titans Go.
Right.
Apparently, only X-Men outsold it. Apparently, Chris Claremont's X-Men.
Interesting.
Yeah, this was a big deal. This comic.
Okay.
So for me, it's yay. Obviously, for the brilliant. So the Bananas 1966 one, but I also, you can tell from the fact that I read most of them, I also really like the Marv Wolfman comics.
Yes.
I just really like them. To me, the purple prose doesn't bother me too much. I just feel like I'm in comic book land.
Yeah.
I'm reading comic book words.
Yeah.
So not everyone can be Alan Moore.
Yeah.
I just really dug it for what it was. I enjoyed the.
Yeah, I think I'm going to switch around to yay. I think I will stick with it and read some more of it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Ashton, where are you?
And the art, as you said, is fantastic.
Yes.
I'm kind of in the middle. I wouldn't read them again, but I did enjoy them.
Okay.
So let's go yay.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Film, come on.
Oh, hard yay.
Oh, absolutely, it's great. It's
But
so
I want to ask you, Ashton, how would you compare it to the 10-minute chunks? Do you think does it work better as 10-minute chunks, or did you...
much better as 10-minute chunks, but Teen Titans Go to the Movies is more or less an 84-minute long Teen Titans Go episode.
Good point. Yeah.
Because often if something is like a sketch, we've seen it at SNL so many times, and you try to make a movie out of it, it doesn't work at feature length.
Right, good point. But in this case, it really is just...
I think it maybe...
It's not so much one long Teen Titans episode as it is a bunch of...
set pieces strung together.
A bunch of short Teen Titans episode that goes for the length of a movie.
I think you're kind of right, because the whole thing about shenanigans and the time travel, those are like
That
segments.
shenanigans and the pooping in the toilet could have been one
Pooping in the
episode.
toilet is like a whole episode by itself. And then Shia LaBeouf shows up and they beat the shit out of him.
Yes. Was that actually him doing the voice, or did you look that
I
up?
didn't look it up, but I doubt it.
I didn't see his name in
It's
the
a bit of a
credits,
mean-spirited kind of joke, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Adaptation.
Okay.
Yeah, yay for me as well, obviously. Adaptation.
Interestingly, I think Teen Titans Go is closer to the Bob Haney stuff. In terms of the craziness that happens, I actually feel like it's got the Wolfman characters with the spirit of Bob Haney. I think they looked at the Bob Haney comics and were like, we could do this kind of stuff. Doesn't seem out of place at all. So actually, I think it's yay for Bob Haney, but I think it's nay for Wolfman. I don't know how Marv Wolfman feels about these shows, or...
Is he still around, Marv Wolfman?
I believe so, yeah.
Excellent.
I think we lost George Perez just in the last year or two, but Wolfman's still around.
I didn't think to look up any...
But on the other hand, Wolfman does a lot of TV writing. Like you'd see him writing cartoons and stuff all the time, so I think he knows how the business works and would understand how...
it's not always a bad thing if we vote nay for an adaptation, no.
No, so I think I have to say nay, because it's not like the experience of reading the comics at all.
Yeah, I also say nay. It's very removed.
Absolute nay. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with the comics.
Were you actually disappointed reading the comics how different they were from the show, which you've been watching for 10 years?
It was kind of what I was expecting.
Okay.
To be honest, like the comics were very comic-y.
Right.
Like I was reading them and I'm like, this is a comic. But the show, it's not at all meant to be like the comics. I believe the first double episode of Teen Titans Go, it's I Want Pie.
Yeah.
Which
Who
is
wants to sing a song about pie?
Which is just them eating pie and singing about pie the whole time. And then the second one is Cyborg getting his driver's license and there's a leprechaun running around for some reason.
Yes.
So
you're right.
I think in a way, ironically, Marv Wolfman putting those characters together in opposition actually set the situation up for comedy gags as well. I think he's got a certain circle of characters that interact in a way that...
Well, I mean, I think that's the strength of his kind of style of writing, or what he values in his own writing style, is that he very much was about character conflict. And so once you have characters that can bounce off one another, that can be very easily translated to humorous circumstances as well as serious ones.
It was also a completely different lineup. So for the original one, we had... We had Robin, Kid Flash, Aqualad, Wonder Girl. In this one, it's Robin, Raven, Cyborg, Starfire, Beast Boy.
Well,
so Robin's the only same member.
Well, I mean, that's your that's your classic Teen Titans lineup now, isn't it? I mean, people
Yes.
don't think of the 60s iteration.
Yes, we didn't mention there's a TV live-action Netflix series which has been going for 4 seasons, like 50 episodes at this stage.
And that
R-rated. But that's got Robin, Starfire, Beast Boy, and Raven,
yeah,
I believe.
right. That makes
No
sense.
Cyborg.
No.
Because he's
Probably
in the
'cause
Justice League now.
Justice
Yeah,
League.
good point. That's exactly right. God, expanded universes, they're just an absolute cancer, aren't they?
Yeah.
Moving on. So not moving on. My vote is nay for adaptation as well, for similar reasons. We're talking about a film that's based on a cartoon that's based on another cartoon first.
Yeah.
This 2003 one.
Yeah.
So the characters, their personalities, their way of speaking, the way they look, it all really comes from the 2003 cartoon, which itself is based ultimately on the Marv Wolfman run. So we're already talking about through several glasses darkly to even get to 2018.
Yes.
And not even going into, as you say, how different it is. I mean, it's really just a setting for crazy lunacy that doesn't really have anything to do, like you said, leprechauns, breaking the fourth wall, all kinds of crazy stuff that was not at all present in the comics. So yeah, that's an A for me, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Obviously, I think
It's excellent.
It's a great movie.
It's so good.
Or, there were a couple of things I read in Marv Wolfman's interview.
Okay.
At the start of the compendium of his run on the New Teen Titans, starting at the beginning, which I felt like I could see traces of in the 2018 film.
Okay.
So, the contempt for sidekicks, we talked a little bit about this already.
Yep.
So, Robin does not want to be seen as a sidekick, and they don't want to be seen as sidekicks. Being seen as a sidekick is humiliating. Marv Wolfman, when he set out to write the new Teen Titans, he was determined to step away from that sidekick kind of framework and to take them away from being like boring role models, from being deferent to authority, from doing things like joining the Peace Corps and doing dams. It was very much, as we've said, about them being real people first and superheroes second. The other thing from the interview, which I noticed, was that Marv Wolfman was a big believer in the traumatic past.
Yes, that's right. So they're actually kind of playing on that.
Yes, they absolutely were.
So yeah, there are some hints of his.
So perhaps it wasn't as clear.
in
So all of the Teen Titans have traumatic origins. And also, as part of his kind of theme of adolescence, of moving away from adult role models, is all of their traumatic origins also had to do with conflict with their parents.
Yes, right.
So Starfire was sold into slavery by her dad. Cyborg was turned into a robot by his father. Beast Boy apparently was experimented on by his parents. Doesn't really come up much.
So, yeah.
Robin wants to escape the straitjacket of Batman's training and control over him.
Yeah.
And of course, in Teen Titans Go, we have traveling back in time to get rid of the traumatic origins.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it is a good adaptation of Marv Wolfman after all. There's a counter. How you say that? A dissenting opinion there.
Yeah.
That's my dissent.
Yes. Okay. Any final thoughts?
I've got my questions for Ashman.
Okay.
Okay, Ashman, what was your favourite version of Teen Titans that you saw or read this week?
Oh, it's the movie.
Brilliant. Cool. Is this the best DC movie?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh.
That's a really good question. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Because there's another one that's big in my heart, which is Superman 78.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good.
But
I didn't even think of Superman 78. Right. What do you think, Ashman?
Jeez, I'm trying to think. What DC movies have I seen?
well, we recently watched Batman Begins.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. I'm probably for third. I think a lot of the jokes fell flat for me in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, purely because it's aimed at 10-year-olds and I'm 15. But it was great when I was 10. And like
When you were 10, this was the best DC movie.
this was the best DC movie when I was 10.
Right.
But now I've got I don't know.
Good answer.
It's probably the original Superman.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of others that have been good. Like Shazam was really good, but I don't know
Not
if
better than this,
I would rewatch this. I think before
Me too.
I rewatched that.
I'd want to rewatch this, especially recent DC movies. I think this is even the only other one that would compete with it would be Wonder Woman for me. Wonder Woman 2017.
Yeah, that was
which was pretty good,
Yeah.
but I think I'd rewatch this before I watch Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I think so too.
Alright, my next question, Ashwin, which Teen Titans power set do you want?
Oh. Not Robin.
Well, Robin's has no downsides, I suppose. I mean, it doesn't have much in the way of upsides, but it's not no downsides.
I wouldn't want to have green skin.
No.
Wouldn't want to be a robot.
No.
Like, I mean, oh my god, laser arms will be awesome.
Starfire?
I think
Flying
I think
and-
Cyborg's pretty good.
Flying
actually.
around.
I'd pick
You have to
Cyborg.
be orange, though, and...
Starfire, Raven's powers in Teen Titans Go are cool.
But you've got
but
all
do
the
I-
angst. You have to be emo.
Do I have to be that angsty?
Yeah, I think you do.
So, Cyborg is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Cyborg, I think Wonder Girl for me, because you get all the powers and none of the angst.
Wonder Girl.
Yeah.
Oh, from the comics.
Yeah. Oh, from the comic. Oh, sorry, I'm not Teen Titans Go the movie. Okay, if it's the movie, it's Robin. You know, I get to be pretty fit and no downside.
Yep.
That's pretty much it for me. Thanks.
All right. So please join us on Facebook and like, subscribe. What were the other two? Rate and review.
Rate and review, that's it.
Like, subscribe, rate and review on whatever your platform is.
We have a patron to thank.
Yes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
actually, I did text this. So we have our first patron. I did message the person, asked if they wanted to shout out on the air. They said don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
So maybe down the line. But once again, we have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/comicbookmovieoblivion, all one word. There are no perks. There are no early episodes.
Not even shout-outs,
There are
apparently.
no bonus. We could do shout-outs. I should add that. I'm going to put that on the list because
You get a shout-out.
that
If
that
you
is
want.
something we can do. But anyway, it actually helps. But actually, it was so validating to get that one person. We're very grateful for it. Actually,
Yeah,
It was really,
absolutely.
It was really
yeah.
good.
You never forget you first. Thank you very
No,
much.
and hopefully, if we get up to, I think I said about 20 or so, we'd be about breaking even. So hopefully that happens. Next week. So next week we're going to do Whiteout by Greg Rucka.
I will not be here.
No. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't read the comic. I just know that it exists and Greg Rucka wrote it. And he'll be showing up a few times on the podcast.